What are Jenkins pipeline? Jenkins pipelines are nothing but it's a powerful way of implementing both CI and CD. Let's say you have a application. You want to automate the build process, you want to automate the deployment process, code quality check, unit test execution, you want to automate the whole process, right? You will be able to achieve that using pipeline. Okay. Jenkins has two different pipelines, scripted pipeline and then declarative pipeline. Scripted pipeline is nothing but it's a very simple way of writing pipeline code. You're going to use a groovy language, and this is the syntax. You see here, you're going to have a node block, and then inside the node block you are going to have each stages defined, right? Starting from checkout, build, code quality, and whatnot, right? So this is the scripted pipeline. Okay. And what about declarative pipeline? Declarative pipeline follows this syntax. You are going to have a pipeline block, and then you are going to have a stages, and then you are going to have each stage defined inside the stages block. Okay. Plus, declarative also has other features, right? When you compare with the scripted pipe, different stages, right? You can run each stage in a separate build agent, okay, which you cannot do with the scripted pipeline. Okay. And then declarative also follows very simple pipeline syntax. Okay. You don't have a very you don't have the complexity compared with the scripted pipeline. Okay. And then in declarative pipeline, you are going to create something called Jenkins file, and you are going to check that Jenkins file as part of your source code, right? You are not going to have a pipeline configured in the Jenkins UI, right? So you are going to create a Jenkins file, and then you are going to commit the Jenkins file as part of your source code management, right? So that is another features of a declarative pipeline. Okay, awesome. So why don't we get started? So guys, this is my website, coachdevops.com. I will be posting the link right below the video as well. If you look at my setup, I do have Jenkins up and running. This is my Jenkins, and this is my Tomcat. Sorry, this is my SonarQube. Okay, so I do have SonarQube up and running, and this is my Tomcat. I do have Tomcat up and running, and then this is my Nexus, which is up and running. Okay, so we have Jenkins, SonarQube, Tomcat, and Nexus up and running, and this is my Slack channel. Okay, I have already integrated this Slack channel with my Jenkins. Okay, so that is my setup, and yes, this is my Java project, which is hosted in GitHub. Okay, so this is my Java project. Let's get started. So I'm going to go to Jenkins, click on a new item, and then I'm going to come up with the name, my declarative pipeline job, and click on pipeline, say OK. Okay, so this is my pipeline. So go to build triggers. I'm going to go with PolSCM. It's up to you. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can invoke the pipeline job either through webhooks, or you can do it through PolSCM, or you can do from any other triggering mechanism. Okay, so I'm okay with this, and then go to pipeline, right? So this is where we have to configure our pipeline. Since our pipeline is going to be a declarative pipeline, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pipeline code in the Jenkins UI, okay, and then I'm going to move the pipeline code inside my source code management. Okay, so I'm going to commit the Jenkins file as part of the source code. Okay, so I'm going to do that a little bit later. First, let's create the pipeline here. Okay, since we are going to create the declarative pipeline, so this is the syntax, right? So it has to start with pipeline block. Okay, and then I'm going to have stages, right? Inside the stages, I'm going to have stage block, right? So I'm going to start off with checkout block. Okay, so this is how the structure should be, right? And then your next stage is going to be like this, right? You're gonna say build stage like this, right? So like this, we are going to start creating our stages. Okay, awesome. So let's get started here, right? So how we can do the checkout stage, or how we can create a pipeline code for checkout stage? So we have to go to pipeline syntax, go to snippet generator. So this is our snippet generator, and then click on checkout. And what is our repo URL? So this is our repo URL, right? Okay, let's put in the information and then I'm going to generate the pipeline code. You see here, this is how you generate the script for your checkout stage. Okay, so everything is good, and then it should be inside the steps block. Okay, so you need to have a steps block. Okay, so that is your first stage. Okay, and then this is our second stage, right? So second stage is for once you check out the code, you want to build it, right? So let's try to see how to do that. Okay, so for that we have to do a couple of things. Yes, we also need to define agent any. So this is for all the stages. So basically whenever you say agent any, it means that your pipeline code can be executed either on a Jenkins master on any available agents. Okay, so this is good. Okay, and then we need to do one more thing. We have to declare the block, the tools block for our Maven, right? So if you remember, I have configured Maven under global tool configuration. Okay, see here, I have declared Maven 3 here, right? Okay, so I'm going to use this variable. Okay, so that is what I want to do that. So how to do that? I just have to say so this is the code, right? Okay, you just have to say Maven and then Maven 3, right? And then I'm going to use my Maven 3 inside bill, right? So how to do that? So this is the code. Okay, again it has to be part of the steps section, right? Okay, see here, so this is what I'm doing, right? So basically what I'm saying is, yes, I want to use this Maven 3 which is declared in the global tool configuration, and this is my the code for that. Okay, so I want to say clean install, and then this is the path of the pom.xml file, right? Because my pom.xml file resides inside my web app folder. Okay, so I want to use this while building it, right? So that is what that means. Okay, all right, so let's quickly save this and then make sure our pipeline is running. Okay, let me save this and then run the build now. We are able to build the checkout stage as well as the build stage successfully. Awesome. So let's go back and then let's continue doing on the next stages, right? All right, so now I'm going to get started on the code quality stage, and then next stage is like this. Okay, so basically we are extending a CI/CD capability of our Jenkins, right? So using Jenkins pipeline, you would be able to do both CI and CD, right? Awesome. So let's go back to our pipeline. Okay, and then I'm going to start off with the next stage, which is the code quality, right? Okay, all right. Okay, again the code is the same. Why? Because we are going to use Maven only, right, for building. Okay, and then we don't need clean. I'm gonna say sonar sonar. Okay, and then we also need to add one more block. That is nothing but we have to add this particular block. I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay, okay, if you see here, where are we where we have declared this, right? So if you go to Jenkins and then manage Jenkins configure system, this is where we have configured the sonar cube, right? So I'm actually using this value, right? So this is what we have declared, right? All our sonar cube configuration is declared here, and this is where we are referring, right? So that is what I'm talking about here. Okay, okay, so let me make sure everything is good. Perfect, I think everything is looking good. Okay, so let me go ahead and then run that particular stage. Let me click on the build now. Now, wow, see here, the build is successful. It was also able to do the analysis for the sonar cube, right? So yes, you can click on here. Wow, see here, so this is our project, right, which we just scanned. Okay, so yeah, right now this does not have any bugs. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so let me go back to my pipeline, and then what is the next stage, right? So we are going to upload the war file into Nexus, right? So I'm going to say stage, I'm going to say Nexus upload. okay, and we need to have steps block, right? Inside the steps block we are going to write a pipeline code. Okay, all right, let's go to pipeline syntax. Go look for Nexus here, right? See this one. We have to fill in this information in order to generate the pipeline code for Nexus. Okay, all right, so Nexus 3 is our version. See here, as you can see, this is our Nexus, right? And this is my Nexus URL. Let me go back to my pipeline and put in that one. You don't have to put the protocol. Why? Because we have already mentioned that here. And then this is for Nexus credential. I have already added Nexus credential here, which is nothing but admin123, and then how to fill in this information, right? So most of this information is going to come from pom.xml file, right? So if you go back here, this is the project I am actually automating, right? Okay, my web app is my project name and pom.xml file, and we are going to pick up the information from here. Okay, so this is the group ID, right? I'm going to pick up from here and fill in there, and then version, right? And this is our version. Okay, if we have different version, that is fine. Whatever the version you wanna put in, you go ahead and put in. It could be a snapshot version or it could be a release version, it doesn't matter. Since our version is a snapshot version, I'm going to use Maven snapshot repository. Okay, and then what is the artifact ID? I can pick up the artifact ID from here, which is my web app here. Okay, let's put in that. And then what is the type? We are going to build a war file, right? And that is what the packaging type means. Okay, perfect. And then classifier, you can leave it empty. And this one, this is where where Jenkins is keeping the war file. So generally Jenkins would keep the war file under this particular location. Okay, so this is going to be inside your workspace folder. Okay, perfect, right? So let's go ahead and then generate the pipeline script. So I'm going to copy this. All you have to do is paste that in between, right? That's it, right? So that is our pipeline code for Nexus. Okay, and then what is the next stage? Okay, the next stage is we want to once we upload into Nexus, we want to deploy into Tomcat, right? So I'm going to say dev deploy. Okay, and then steps. So how to create a code for Tomcat deployment? Again, no problem, right? Let's go to our snippet generator. So look for Tomcat or deploy to container. Remember, we have to install this particular plugin. Okay, so let's go ahead and then put in this information. Okay, add container. Okay, so this is our Tomcat information. This is the Tomcat username and password. And then what is the Tomcat URL, right? So this is my Tomcat URL. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and generate the pipeline script. Wow, see here, copy this and then put that in between, right? Okay, so that is our code for Tomcat deploy. Okay, and then let's say once you deploy the code, you also want to notify some teams, right? So we can also do that. Let me say Slack notify. Okay, so how to generate the code for Slack notification? Again, right, we can make use of the snippet generator. So go to this drop down, look for Slack. Wow, see here. Okay, we have already integrated Slack plugin with Jenkins, right? All you have to do is go ahead and then mention the Slack channel name, right? So let's say this is my Slack channel name. Okay, I'm going to mention that over here, and then the message I'm going to say, let's say dev deployment was successful, right? Okay, and then click on this one. Wow, see here, this generated the code for Slack, right? So I'm going to go ahead and then mention here. Okay, wow, see here, so everything is looking good. So basically we were able to check out the code, build the code, and then check with SonarQube for code quality, and then upload the binaries into Nexus, and then finally we are deploying into Tomcat, and then we are sending the notification to dev team, right? So why don't we go ahead and test this, okay, before we go too far. Okay, let's apply, save. Let me go ahead and click on build now. Of course, you can also kickstart your job in different ways, right? But I'm just manually building it for now. Okay, so checkout is done, build is done. Right now it is in the process of doing the code quality. Wow. Dev deploy is done too, and then Slack notification. Okay, so why don't we go to Tomcat and then see if we are able to see the output of the application. Wow, see here. So this was the message, right? So basically, if I go to my code, see here, this is what we were able to check out and then deploy, right? So wow, we are able to see that output. So it means that our pipeline was able to deploy the Java application, my web app into Tomcat. So perfect. And before that, let's also go to Nexus and then see whether it was able to upload into the Maven snapshot. Wow, see here, we are also able to see the version here, right? And then of course, this is our sonar cube, right? We are also able to see it here as well. Okay, so it means that we are able to build and then do a code quality check, uploading into Nexus, and then also finally deploying into Tomcat. And then of course, once everything is done, and see here, we also got a notification here as well saying that dev deployment was successful as well, right? So yeah, so basically we were able to build this declarative pipeline with all the stages, right? Of course, we can also extend our pipeline. Okay, let me see what I can do it, right? So yes, let's go back to our website here. See, you can also include some approval stage and whatnot, right? So you can also do that. So this is how you are going to extend Jenkins capability, right? So both CI as well as CD. Okay, so how to do that? Let's say after you done the dev deployment, once you notify the team, the development team is going and doing some testing and whatnot, right? So now you are ready to do a deployment into QA environment. So how to do that or how to create that kind of a workflow? Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you. Okay, so let's go to our pipeline here, go to configure. Okay, so let's say I want to extend this pipeline. I want to say stage. Okay, so let's say I want to say um, you know I want to say, let's say QA approval, right? Or okay, I'm going to say dev approval for, yeah, I just want to say dev approval, right, for QA deployment. And that's actually for QA deployment. Okay, and then I want to copy this code. Okay, so yeah, so everything has to be like that. Okay, so of course, basically this is what I'm doing right now. Okay, so here, what I wanted to do, I want to take an approval from a dev manager before I do a QA deployment, right? So this is the code. Okay, so I'm going to say, do you want to deploy into QA environment, right? So that is what I wanted to do, right? And then let's say once they are okay with that, then I want to go ahead and then do the deployment, right? Okay, okay, so this is where I'm going to copy the code. Okay, so again, you would have already created the code, right? Same way, how let's say you have your Tomcat URL, right? So again, you can go to snippet generator, go to deploy to container, right? And then you can provide you can provide, let's say this is your QA Tomcat environment, right? Okay, and then of course choose the right credential option and then go ahead and then generate the script. Okay, so this is going to be your pipeline code, right? So I'm going to go ahead and then put that over here, right? And then let's say after you've done the QA deploy, you want to notify the teams, right? So yeah, so we can also do that. Okay, so I want to say Slack notify, I'm going to say Slack notify QA, right? And then I want to say QA deployment was successful. Please start your testing. Okay, so I'm doing it. Okay, so yes, so basically we were able to create 3 different stages, right? So one thing I want to tell you, See here, this is where we are kind of creating a workflow. Okay, so you want someone to approve that, right? So right now I logged in as Jenkins. I logged in as admin, so I want to approve myself. So that's why I have this information, right? So if you want somebody else to approve, you can mention their user ID. Okay, so they can log in into Jenkins and then they can give approval. Okay, all right. So let's quickly go ahead and then say apply, save, and then run build now. Okay, so let's see. So right now our pipeline is kick-started. So everything is done. Let's say we verified everything, you know, dev deploy, everything is done. See here, we also got this message. So let's go to our pipeline. Wow, see here, right now it is waiting for someone to approve, right? So now let's say dev team has verified everything is good, and then whoever is the person who wants to approve, right? They can come here and then they can move their mouse over, and then this option would come, and then they can click on proceed. Okay, so this would actually go ahead and then do the QA deploy, right? Wow, see, that is also done, and then we also got a notification that if you look at the Slack notification, right? So QA deployment was successful, right? So they can start their testing as well. Okay, so yeah, so guys, this is how you can extend both CI and CD capability of Jenkins by creating the declarative pipeline. And then one last step, if you see here, we still have our code as part of Jenkins UI, right? So what we have to do, we have to move the code into SCM. So how to do that? I'm going to copy the entire pipeline code and then go to Jenkins. Okay, and then I'm going to click on add file. I'm going to create something called Jenkins file, right? So create this Jenkins file and then paste the entire pipeline code over here, right? Then I'm going to say created Jenkins file, which is nothing but what, pipeline as a code, right? And then commit. So now I have committed here, and then I can go to my pipeline, and then I can change from script into script from SCM, right? Because our pipeline has been moved into source code, right? So let's copy this one, and then we have to provide that information over here. Okay, mention our GitHub credential. Okay, and then this is where our Jenkins file resides, right? So it is in the root of the repository. Okay, so perfect, and then click on apply and save. Okay, you see here now, if you go back to configure, you go to pipeline, see here, you won't be able to modify this pipeline. Why? You cannot mess around with the pipeline code, right? Because it has been moved into